Hi there everybody, this is Mr. Verzat. Today I'm going to be showing you guys a demonstration video of several techniques. This is an assignment that we're doing in our Design 1 class called Saturation Exercise. It goes over three main components: semicircular scumbling, which is dealt with in a screencast 6.3, also saturation level with colored pencils, that is dealt with also in 6.3, and as well as complementary shading, which is dealt with in a little bit in 6.2 and 6.3 as well. What's going on here is this is three separate spheres that are shaded according to a light source. So you'll be using fundamentals covering basic lighting, highlight, midtone, and shade, and so on. And what's going on here is I'm simply starting with a light saturation with a pressure 1 using semicircular scumbling to paint in the entire sphere with tone. This is at a light source is just short of a 3/4 angle up and to the right. And what I'm doing, first of all, is I am painting in the base color, the lightest colors first. I'm holding the pencil very lightly, and I'm lightly saturating everything. Why don't you just start with dark? Well, that's because it's a lot easier to add dark than to take away dark. If you add dark at first and then realize, oh my gosh, you don't want your piece that dark, it's very, very difficult to get rid of it. Also, in order to saturate the paper cleanly and clearly, you do not want to damage the tooth. And if you push very hard, you will damage the tooth, and it won't take. At this stage, I'm layering in. Layering is a basic fundamental covered in Unit 3. And this is still a pressure 1. Values conform to the surface of the sphere. A sphere is a three-dimensional object, and naturally the values and the shadows will be curved to fit that three-dimensional form. I started in the darkest area first and start working my way into the light with the same value. And then along the edges over here, I smooth it into a soft-edged value. You may refer to how to blend with the pencil, that screencast in Unit 3, to know what that term is. I go in and I add a third pass here. And as you can see, by layering over the top, it smooths out the values. It fills the tooth and saturates the paper. It creates a nice, uniform, sandy tone, which looks very, very cool. You can't even see really the strokes at all using this technique, and that is semicircular scumbling. That's the beauty of it. I'm going in and cleaning up the edges and patching any light spots that I see in the drawing. Now, how do you know where to patch any holes? Well, those areas you need to fill up are going to be a little bit lighter than the surrounding values. We want uniformity, not Swiss cheese. And so one thing you can do is take a step back from your piece. You can also squint your eyes or blur your vision. That helps you find any spots that are lighter than others that just don't seem to pop out. And you just continue to build up layers in the piece. Now you're going to notice that down at the bottom, around about the bottom part of the sphere, there is a light area. Well, that is a little more advanced part of shading a sphere that I did not teach you guys. That is the reflective light that comes from the surrounding environment. A sphere, as I taught you, had simply three parts: a highlight, midtone, and a shade. In reality, a sphere will have some of the ambient light in the room reflecting in the dark spots, whether from the table or the surrounding light. And that is what reflective light is. It makes things look very realistic. Now this part takes the longest. Building up layers is something that takes a lot of patience. And if you can shade a sphere, you can shade anything, because a sphere basically embodies all of the basic fundamentals of lighting. Whether it's in color, whether it's in black and white, it doesn't matter. It's simply knowing where the shadows go and where the light parts of the form are. If you can do this, any other drawing will be nowhere near as tedious. That's basically to make the first beginning attempt at this technique challenging, and so that everything else very much easier after this. Now at this stage, this is a complementary shading. Refer to 6.3 as to what that is. If you use a complementary color to create those shadows, it will make your piece far more vibrant and impressive to the eye. Black simply dulls and kills the color. This complementary shading does the exact same effect, except it keeps it vibrant. Now I'm going in here semicircular scumbling only in the high saturation areas, and I am applying a very light color to it, because when colors neutralize, that becomes very bold. And start light, work your way into darker values as you need to. Constantly smooth your edges into soft edges. And at this point, I'm using what's called a colorless blender. It's a wax colored pencil, and what I'm doing is I'm now compressing the tooth of the paper. I'm drawing over the top of what I've drawn, and that does a couple of things. flattens the tooth, and mixes the colors. And it also seals it in a coat of wax. That will protect your image. The wax also makes the colors far more vibrant and way, way, way more impressive. Start from the dark and work your way into the light. That's what I'm doing here. I'm going to the darkest areas and I'm pulling the color into the light. You'll actually increase your contrast naturally by doing this. So yes, this does take time, but anything of value takes time.